So it is, little ones, we talk to you. Yes, we could call you still little ones, even though you're growing up very quickly. As soon as that presence inside of you, that is all there is, becomes your main focus, you're going to recognize and realize the truth of your being. So the truth of your being is always present and has been each and every life cycle that you spend, whether it is that you're moving around on planet Earth or you're moving into other cycles or into other realities. No worries. It has to do with how each one comes awake. And to wake up means that you are not paying attention to your third dimensional body, mind, spirit as much as you once did. And you are able to focus on the activity of the presence of who you are. And to be able to do that in a moment's time, a moment's notice, to be able to pull back your awareness from what is going on in the exterior world, or I'd still be present for that because you can still be on receptive mode, but not giving all of your energy in that direction. So the energies that are coalescing, or the energies coming together on the planet, have a lot to do with each and every one at the stage of development they are, and where it is that they want to put their attention in order to keep moving, not just forward on the third dimension, but forward in their spiritual growth. So spiritual growth is the most important facet. And all of these activities that are happening on the planet of Earth, whether they are particularly close to you, or they're across around the planet or underneath your planet, wherever they are, they all have the same momentum to them. Some people will hang back and they will not be able to join in, but the programs that are being released within the planet are definitely having the same momentum. So there's a push on for each and every human being to stay with what is and not keep concentrating on what was or what the fear is about what might come. So all of these suggestions that have been put into your world that seem as though they are laws, or they are commands, or they are part of a directive that cannot be crossed, don't cross that line, and lots of rules, lots of regulations, realizing that these third dimensional activities are for each and every one who is still stuck in the third dimension. So when you have a particular set of rules and your heart and your body are saying, no, I don't think I want to do that, it is as though you can soften around all that and not have to get to the place of anger, or get to the place of feeling as though you are being thwarted, or as though there is a direct attack in any direction, or you want to attack in another direction. So each one of you are coming through that at this point in time. So humans have their own way of approaching what is evolving on the planet of Earth, and it's because of their own karma, as you well recognize. So each one of you that has karma, everyone has karma of some sort, is going to be able to look very easily, or perhaps even closely, at what is happening on the planet of Earth. So we say to you, what is happening on the planet of Earth is that those old momentums, those old ways, those old paradigms that have caused people to forget who they are. This is the important piece, to forget who they are, because the directives are to the outer world, are getting absolutely strong and almost obnoxious to see what is happening in the outer world and what has happened. So feeling responsible or being the brother's keeper is the old paradigm, and we say it's not necessary to feel responsible for anyone else's activity and for their health or their way of being. It is only necessary to have a compassionate heart and realize that life takes care of life. Each person can try very hard to go in a particular direction, so that they can increase their, their commodity, or increase their whatever is in their world, or increase the goodness that they feel is being a good idea for them to do. So they will move in that direction, but it isn't really them that's doing it, is life doing it. So there's always about 10 times more information about a particular subject than can be expressed. So that's the truth of what's happening on the political front on the planet. So there are many expressions of awakening. There are many expressions of truth. And each person needs their own It would be like opening up their own book they refer to. They need their own way of looking at what is, because if you try to impress someone with a teaching or try to teach them that something is different than they thought it was, it's going to meet with opposition. It's going to meet with part of the person that is feeling as though they are perhaps fearful. That's one way to look at it. Or perhaps as though their ego is being thwarted. That's the other word we use quite a bit these days. And to give yourself permission to always come back into the moment with the I and the am and your presence, it could be almost too much work. So when you realize that there's something going on and that you're having a reaction to it, take the in-breath and remember that if you were going to speak, it would either probably say you or I. You or I. So you always want to come back to the I facet of what is going on, because that doesn't point a finger and you get further with people that way. When you go into the I of who you are, right? So you go into the eye of a storm, or you go into the eye of a human being, and it's a window space. It's a place where you see through it. It's not important to see the eye. It is important to see through the eye, and the eye that you want to be looking through is the presence that you are. So remembering that the I am is something that people can state, and then they keep looking for I am tired, I am awake, I am happy, I am sad, I am, and that puts a relationship on the central I. So you want to keep losing that relationship of your central I to whatever is going on, which basically means that when you identify, and that's the I identify, then you know that you're in the presence for less than a split second, because there you are. You exist. There you've always existed, and you are an I. And the presence that you are is omnipresent. It is not just with you or in front of you or behind you. It is omnipresent. So all of these things that are happening on the planet of Earth are talking about how it was, how it can be, what it is that needs to be changed and shifted, and to bring forward the difference. That's not a big enough word. To bring the absolute, what is a big word? You know, when something is far apart, dichotomy is okay word. But the big difference between some people, the big difference between some people's ideas, and of course the great difference between what becomes the reality because of the thinking of certain people. So it's always the most important facet to come back to your own self, not be able to point a finger at anyone else, no, but to come back to yourself and know who you are, what you are, how you are, and what it is that the viewpoint of the person that you are walking around with in this life cycle is in balance with what you truly believe. So these things sneak up on people from your history, from your past. And so there's a coloring or a shadowing of the way information is heard, but you want to be able to relax and allow everything to unfold and not worry or feel threatened by anything that is going on in the outside world, remembering that you yourself, and that's the self with a large S, are not the body. You're not the thoughts. And this is so important to keep coming back to it. Because as you look at the world and things are shaping up so that life will become better, it'll be great on earth, people will be very happy, money will not be an issue, all the things will change, people will wake up. These are wonderful ideas, but guess what? They're still just ideas right now. And then once you are finding your way to that reality, there you are, and you're still in third dimension. And third dimension has a way of hanging on, even though one can approach fourth dimension and one can approach fifth dimension. So you want to make an absolute promise to yourself that you're going to jump out of third dimension so that you're not relating to the people, places, and experiences in the same old way that you were before. It's to be in state of detachment, which doesn't mean that you don't care. Of course, you care about what is going on, but not attached to the outcome. And there's a really big difference between looking at something with an investment in what is happening or having an apprehension or having an emotional response because you are just connected, because your history says that there is a right and a wrong, etc. Very difficult to get beyond that. So that's why it's very most important to keep coming into the I and the presence of who you are. Practice it all the time. As soon as you hear yourself say I, then you want to take a breath and watch what's going to come. I this, I that, I this, I that, usually relates to the third dimension, and that I was always there. Even when you were born, there was a sense of I within you, but then you learned how to express it, and then you attached the I of the physical or the person into the great I am, and it has become one. But of course, one is not equal to the other. It's like the wave in the ocean. You are not equal in your third dimensional body, mind, spirit to the part of yourself that is in soul, is in the greatness of the entirety of this universe, and is the one creative force. You are that, but when you try to relate to it, you can't. There's no relationship to it. You are that, you are that, you are that. And when you bring in third dimensional possibilities or third dimensional ideas, that's a diminishing, and it's also a changing exactly quickly from one vibration into another. You can't relate it to the other. It's either one, as you are in the presence, or there is that streaming of consciousness where you can't stop thoughts. Thoughts will keep coming no matter how hard you try. But as soon as thoughts are coming in, you don't follow them down a rabbit hole. You don't follow them on a particular stream of content. You're fine. It's okay. So you can breathe, and your body gets all of the oxygenation. Your body gets the expansiveness. It gets the vibration of your experience, and it's not affected in any way. And ill health is always about being affected in a particular way because of old ideas or old tendencies, which initiate themselves in the thought patterns, in the emotions, but then they become also part of the body. So all these things are happening. And as you say to yourself, I, and you recognize, oh, I, all right, I, just stop right there, I, and give yourself a little gentle reminder that the I is much bigger than you standing in the spot you're standing in, or you doing what you're doing, and then take responsibility for whatever may next come out of your mouth, which may be nothing. Won't you recognize that you've made a statement because there's a call inside of you at some moment to be in the presence and to feel the presence. And therefore, as you take responsibility for that sensing of the presence, because you can't qualify it as good or big or little or any of those categories, you're just the I. And that's a presence. And for the most part, each one's recognizing it doesn't really matter if you give your opinion or not. The rest of the world has got their own opinion. And so just the statement for the I of the self. In the eye of the storm, the eye of the storm exists because the storm is moving in the direction it is moving in. And so the movement of the storm, the turbo force of some of those amazing activities that go swirling around over the ocean, is there because of a momentum that has happened. But you don't have to step into it, and you can be in the eye of the storm. When it moves, if you are in the spot that it moves to, just remember, the I is who you are, and the am part of the self begins to get you into a statement of being. So stick with just the I, and see how far you can go in a day without having to express your opinion to everyone or anyone about what is going on. That's always the beginning point, isn't it? I. Or it can be you. It can be we, but it's really mostly about the opinion of a particular being as they are moving through their experience on a planet.